DreamHack ASTRO Open is brought to you by ASTRO, Monster Energy, Corsair, Zowie, Intel, and Lenovo Legion.
Welcome back to DreamHack ASTRO Open Montreal, where the meat is smoked, the women speak French, and Gale Force almost beats North. I'm on the desk right now here with my counterparts, and we've met them before. We shall meet them once more. We've got Pimp and we've got Hazed. Guys, we had a nail biter on that last one, huh?
Definitely closer than expected.
Definitely closer than expected. The scoreline itself, 16-14 on a cobble there between North and Gale Force. Certainly going the distance, but we're going to be getting into our next matchup now. It's going to be Kinguin and Counter Logic Gaming. Now, Hazed, what are you thinking?
Who's that? Who's Counter Logic Gaming?
Oh, yeah, those guys.
I don't know them.
Oh, CLG, yeah, there we go.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I know those guys. I'll take that back. They are, in my opinion, the #2 team in NA right now. I know that's kind of a stretch. I know a lot of people are looking at Cloud9 and probably Liquid as 1 and 2, but coming into the tournament, I said CLG was probably #2, and that's solely because I think they're the most well-rounded team, maybe behind Liquid. They can play defensive and aggressive. They have a lot of good set strategies, and I filled in for them recently for a tournament, and the way Finesse was calling, I thought was just spot on. So.
Well, we're going to take a quick look at these groups to see just how this one could potentially unfold. We do see the victory there from North over Gale Force, 16-14, and we'll be getting into the CLG Kinguin match, which is the second matchup of Group A. Flipping the page now to Group B, Cloud9 with a pretty convincing, easy victory over Complexity, 16-5, and then we will see Immortals Luminosity as the sort of last best-of-1 group stage match of the day, which should be a fairly interesting one given, you know, just the history of the two teams there. But right now, we're coming back into CLG, coming back into Kinguin. Do the Poles have a chance here, or is it going to be CLG under this new Ryu leadership?
I definitely think they have a chance. Kinguin are not a bad team at all in that sense. They've always been around in Europe, and they've always been like knocking doors. Like every time you meet them in a major qualifier, they always do well for some reason, and it's like the secondary polished team, right? If you look towards anyone, and if VP ever were to make a change, you'll probably go down this team and find a player too. Mihu is a guy who's playing well at the moment as well for Kinguin, so I definitely think there's potential for them. I would agree that CLG might be the favorites in this sense, because they are, as James said, like very well-rounded, pretty much all over the block, but Kinguin is not a bad team in any sense.
Well, it's funny you say favorites, because it would appear at the current time a 50-50 down the split middle just line there. I don't know. Maybe there's some just house divided in the chat, I suppose. But what is there to say about this new CLG?
I think they've harnessed a very aggressive double-opping power with Kusta and Rike, and I think that's when I'm a Pet was coaching them, that carried them a long way. I hope that they continue to do that, because I do think that's their strong suit. I know they kind of started shying away from it because it almost became like a crutch for them. And they're trying to figure out new styles to play with, but they're definitely my favorite for this match. I've been on, when I was on CLG, I played Kinguin twice. Fairly, I mean, similar lineups, and both times it was 16-14 and we won. So it's not like we ever stomped them. They're a good team.
I think something to be noted, too, is ever since the addition of Rike to this roster, these guys have almost seen this new sort of spark, if you will, as we do take a look at CLG Gaming right there in front of you. Or, excuse me, CL Gaming, I guess, would be the proper terminology. But, yeah, I mean, it's something where we can kind of see now a double op setup come out. We can see Kusta op. We can see Rike pick it up. And playing it to their advantage, are they going to see a good matchup here? Is this going to be a pretty even bout?
I think it's going to be an even battle. And I think one of the reasons for that to be is FNS. Like, he's calling in a way that reminds me of a European way. Like, he's trying to set up his team and put them in different or in like very set roles, and then they have a role to actually like accomplish with and a task to do in the game. And it reminds me, like, it's probably the only NA team that reminds me of a European team, the way they play and the way they approach the game. Whereas you look at Cloud9, it's something completely different, at least right now with Tarek as the in-game leader. So I think there's potential for a very close matchup, and I think like it's not like two different styles that is going to face each other right now, because Kinguin play the same way. And
I guess when we kind of flash back to this CLG lineup, we did see him in Valencia with that one moment with the mishap with the defuse. Definitely an interesting one, to say the least. And how do you avoid those situations? Was it just a late night mistake and then ended up obviously costing them a little bit more than I think they'd bargained for? But given that, I think this team has probably come a long way from where they used to be, so to say.
Oh, definitely. They've done nothing but improve. And I mean, when I left the roster, they were, you know, no one thought we were even in the top 20. So,
once upon a time, long time ago. Now this guy right here, Sparrow, Opper, to say the least.
Yeah, he's a great player, and that's the thing about this Polish teams. They have a lot of good individuals. This guy as well, Raul, is a fun guy to hang around, especially playing FPL in Europe. He's a fun dude. Growing that beard as well. That looks fun. It's like Shiny's personality in that sense.
It's almost November, right? So some people are they're cheating, getting a little head start.
That's true.
I'll give you some tips. My beard's definitely better. Just get that.
You do have a nice beard. I will give you that.
Hyper has always been around forever. It's like these guys have been around forever. They've always been like sort of like CLG in a sense, where you've been around forever. But you never really made the result that like broke through the very top of the scene. Kinguin haven't so either. But I think they are also a team who are like progressing a little bit at time at a time.
A little bit of time at a time. We're going to bring up now the map vetoes, because the ever so crucial part of this is determining what map these teams will be facing off on. And just looking at the history that we do know about these teams, what map favors what team?
I don't see Overpass making it through. If I was going to choose a map that I think both teams would like to play, it would probably be Mirage. That's what I'd be gunning for if I was CLG or Kinguin, but there goes Overpass, which is surprising to me, because I figured CLG would be the ones that ban Overpass and not Kinguin, so that does strike me as a little odd.
I see Train as a potential map as well. Both teams are quite comfortable with Train. CLG, we've seen them play it in pretty much all the DreamHack events thus far, and then Kinguin is a great Train team as well. They have a like very aggressive style, which I think will suit CLG well, because they're very passive in the way they play Train. At least they've been in the recent DreamHack, so I think there's potential for a great Train game as well.
Now, when we look at this new addition of Ryu to CLG, what can he bring to the table, James?
Well, he famously unlocked Kusta on Enemy. So on Enemy, he was, I think a world-class Opper. Super aggressive, hit amazing shots, made plays for his team. And it does end up being Mirage, as we pretty much expected. But I think what I hope is that Ryu in this team is going to unlock Kusta again, because he's never been the same player since leaving Enemy.
Which was so long ago, too.
It was a long time ago. He went to Liquid, and then it was downhill from there.
Which was an interesting, I don't want to call it experiment or, experience for him, so to say. But definitely something where bringing him back up to the forefront of being that North American Opper, on the up and coming. He's been around long enough now, so I don't think that we could actually just say, oh, he's on the up and up, and he's, but he could be back.
I mean, being on Liquid can be quite rough at times.
Do you want to talk about it, man?
No, it's okay. It's okay. But like that definitely like destroyed him, and it was like kind of a shame, because as I said, like he was a world-class talent back then in Enemy, and everyone was expecting big things from him. I feel though, ever since he joined CLG Gaming, he's found some of himself. I would agree he's not the same player as he once was, but I still remember like practice game from when I was with Liquid. Where he just goes totally ham and he just like runs around and basically don't care what he's doing. He just does cruise the stuff. Which is the cruise that they need in a tournament like this if they want to make the playoff.
And again, if you're at home watching and just joining us now, go ahead and type in chat !CLG or !King to get your vote in for which team you think is going to be walking away with this W. Now, an interesting one to note, and it's kind of probably a sore subject. Hopefully they can't hear this. I'm sure they can. Just looking at the SO1 New York qualifiers for CLG, They had encountered a Rise Nation. They had just a little bit of a rough time over on Cash. What happened, man?
That was just, I mean, I wish I could tell you, man. I mean, Rise Nation's a good team. They're up and coming, so it's not bad, I guess, that we lost. I think it's in the way we lost that was so bad. We almost got 16-0'd on the last map, so we kind of just fell apart.
I mean, that in combination of online Counter-Strike, it's a weird one, right? It's some sort of equation that I don't think any scientist anywhere is ever going to figure out. But adding it up, it's a strange one. It
was strange indeed. I mean, they're playing with a fill-in me, so it's understandable that, you know, they didn't play to maybe their full potential. Obviously, I'm not an opper like Kusta is, so filling in for an opper's role is kind of strange when you're not an opper. So we had to change our play style a little bit, and I think that maybe had something to do with it, but
a little tricky, yeah. Right? To kind of put the square peg in the round hole, I think is the appropriate terminology. But guys, unfortunately, I have to ask for your predictions at this point, and again, we're holding each other accountable. So, Pimp, we'll just start with you.
I think Kinguin look better on paper right now in current shape. I think we're going to see a very close game, and I think Kinguin could nail it 16-13 maybe.
Fair enough. And Mr. Hazed.
Both times I played Kinguin on CLG, it was 16-14 win, so I'm going 16-14 CLG.
Smooth. 16-14 CLG. I think I'm gonna side with CLG here, but I'm gonna go 16-8.
Ooh,
I'm going the underside of things here, and not just to undercut you guys, but there's something about it in the air today. There's something about it the air in here in Montreal, and I'm just really feeling it for these guys. I think it's their time to shine. It's time that they're all get together on the same page, and with the addition of Ryu and what maybe he could bring to the table in terms of making that happen, I mean, so be it. That could definitely be the thing.
I mean, it is a tournament where you'd expect a CLG to break out, right? If they ever were going to have an international breakout, tournaments like these, like the DreamHack Open events, where it's not like the top teams who are coming, like North is probably the best ranked team right now, ranked 4th in the world, right? So this is a tournament where they can grab a chance, and you're right, like if they ever want to break through international, this is a tournament they have to do that.
It starts now. It starts here. Because, you know, it's a little late to say once I know at the minor they didn't have as much success. They didn't end up qualifying for the major, but you want to find that, you want to yield that success well before you get to that point, I think.
Absolutely. And at the minor, I mean, they lost to a team that ended up making it to the finals, I believe. I believe they lost to Immortals in a BO3. I could be wrong there, but it's not like they lost to a bad team. Literally in the finals of the major. And if you think, you know, if CSGO math works, and if they won, then they'd have been in the finals.
Wait, there's math in this?
I don't know, maybe.
No. No way. We did just see the odds there. Actually, they're still up on your screen if you'll take a look at those. CLG are the current favorites in the Twitch chat to be the winner of this map. But at this time, I'm going to go ahead and tie in our commentators, Scrawny and Sadakist. What's up, my Canadian fellows?
Oh, not much. Just hanging.
Just hang in.
Yeah.
Just out for a rip, are you, bud?
Oh, I was wondering if you were going to go there eventually.
Eventually, I mean, it had to happen, man. Sorry.
Yeah, out for a rip, bud.
Hacking a dart. Grabbing the old double-double.
You never heard of hacking a dart?
Hacking a dart.
Hack a dart? Yeah.
That's a real thing. Well, I think we're going to leave you guys to it. And,
yeah, we don't have much to say this time, do we?
It is what it is, man.
Don't even let him finish his sentence. Just get him off the screen. That's it. I'm done with him. This will be a good one, I think. Finally, we gotta get. By the way, stipulate we had our groups backwards.
Yeah.
So just that's out of the way. But this will be a good game. CLG, I haven't seen as much of them since the minor. In fact, I haven't seen them at all since the minor. So this will be another awakening for me to see exactly what they've got going on. I know Kusta was looking in good form around that time. Hopefully, he's still looking consistent in that capacity. And then you obviously have Kinguin on the other side of it, another team that we don't see as often anymore. There was a time, sort of mid-2016, when they were somehow making it through to event after event, and for about a string of 5 events, we saw them quite frequently, and including that of which was one of the WESG qualifying events in Kiev, where they outperformed pretty much everyone's expectations, did very well, and looked to be on the rise, and obviously, I would say if there's going to be a change in Virtus Pro, is the team you would look for.
Yeah.
To be swapping into that roster.
Exactly, that like kind of like number 2 Poland position, right, belongs to Kinguin. So I mean, there's even a time where if we go even further back, like we're talking about a lineup that was participating in majors even under the flag of E-Battle, I believe.
That's right, yeah.
And
yeah, a bit of a change, a few changes since then.
Yeah, of course, but like the core, like it's definitely an experienced lineup, which you can say obviously with the same of CLG. So I think this is, of all the matches we've had so far today, this is the one that on paper is going to be, you know, a 50-50 split. Some would say you can choose your camp, as clearly the boys on the desk did. If I had to do the same, I think I would still give my favor to CLG, although I expect this one to be very close. Because again, Kinguin have promising results when it comes to some LAN events, but the problem is that we've seen them struggle online, and therefore we see them at less and less LAN events. But I think that there's a bit to be said for them. I think that they definitely do still have talent, and I hope that we see it.
Yeah, there's tons of talent on the Kinguin side. Let's get into that as well, because Spiro is a player been around for a while, definitely had ups and downs, I think, and periods of inconsistency, but then you compare him with someone like Mihu, who's been subbed in twice for Virtus Pro, would be the obvious choice, or was the obvious choice at one point in time to be stepping in for that lineup. Rollin brings a lot of experience, and apparently me on their team. How does this happen every time? Hang on, there we go. They've already kicked me. It's no big deal. I didn't ruin the game, but we're getting into a knife round. A point I was going to make is also you get Hyper. Hyper was, I think, someone that was not on my radar at all, and then over the last sort of 6 months, I think has really stepped it up considerably and was someone that you had to watch at the European Minor.
Yeah, I could definitely.
I'm going to attempt to rejoin without joining a team.
Try it. Knife round is
very good
underway,
at it.
so I don't think you can mess it up, man. I think you're good to go.
Didn't give me a choice last time. It just like decided that it liked me on the CT side. T side, I think, actually.
Yep. You were indeed a terrorist.
That would suit my personality fine.
So we've got CLG picking up the knife round. They will be able to choose where they'll start off. One could expect that to be the old CT side. So do Kinguin have enough in their pocket to play Mirage? I think that it's really cool, actually, that we end up on Mirage. I think that's definitely going to mirror the kind of, evenness between these two lineups. It's a map where I'd expect decent results from both squads, and therefore explains why they vetoed down to it.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Again, everything just to me screams 50-50 between this current situation. And what's crazy is that it screams 50-50 until you think of the possibility of one individual going off. I mean, like a guy like Ethan or Nate, however you decide to spell it.
I'm gonna go with Ethan, even though from now on I think his players spelling it backwards. They deserve to have it said backwards.
Okay. I think it's just, he's under the wing of Cutler, or I suppose
Reltuk. Yeah, Reltuk.
Yeah. Regardless, it's CLG to the CT side, and it's the pistol round underway. Kinguin going to go immediately over towards that A site, putting up 4 players and leaving the single Sparrow to kind of lurk at B. Of course, he's got that smoke flash for him and a second set of utility on Hyper, so they could actually throw a bit of a fake here.
Good throw. But do they throw? That's the question. It looks like you're... I think what you're going to see is actually Spiro throwing the smoke that goes... I didn't see his lineup for it. That's going to land top connector. It bounces down and covers off frontside connector and into jungle. So that allows them a better entry. It does open up the stairwell, but it also means that he's able to help the attack on the A side, but then lurk late for rotations. So it's not a fake, but a decent position for utility. Cutler on catwalk will therefore be susceptible for when Spiro walks in, but bomb down. That's the main game for Kinguin. Mihu, Malzino getting aggressive to hold off the backside of the fence. A lot of noise made by Spiro. Ricky's not turned, though, not heard this. And this is why Spiro threw the smoke from the other side of the map, because he gets in behind all of them, forces the play toward A, and takes the map control from the back and behind. It's quite clever. It's nifty, but is it enough to hold off the fact that the retake comes in from CT? They're holding the bomb plant, and they just barely get it. They'll keep 3 alive on the terrorist side, but the round is gone.
That's why you let FNS defuse. Actually able to get it this time around. Opening pistol, they lose all 5 players, and yet time is of the essence. Manages to steal it away from Kinguin from what was a superb pistol round. I mean, again, the fact that they used that one player over towards the B site to not only help out with the smoke execution into A, but that late linger pays off perfect. You see him come out from Marketplace, finds his target. Great crossfire occurring on the site itself. You saw how Ethan was pulled in 2 directions between both ramp and jungle. But ultimately, again, it's just Finesse on that bomb, proving his worth and giving CLG a great opportunity now to convert some points. But Kinguin, seeing as they planted, well, they're not going to put it on the line. They're going to hope to get those early rifles in the following round. So a couple of Deagles, P250s, and a CZ coupled with a single flashbang is what they'll have to play with. can always be enough. We've seen more with less already here today. And CLG, I mean, this is what they do, as of late, anyways, is just play very safe Counter-Strike. Obviously, on a round like this, you want to do that regardless, but even as we get into the gun rounds, I expect them to try and minimize mistakes by not really necessarily taking very many aggressions, not making big plays in the hopes of minimizing risks, which can be argued for, but also against. As Kinguin, well, they're ready to hit this A site.
Ready and waiting, though, is CLG. Might go to the A site, but Cutler stands under the balcony, finds the first shot on Mihu. Ethan follows by getting Mazino. It was hyper in between them. It's not going to be enough. Just one kill to the good of 3, just leaving Rollin without the bomb and out anywhere else to go. So it's 2-0 for CLG. After losing the battles in the pistol, remember, that's still quite impressive.
And as per tradition, quick early pause. So 2 rounds deep, CLG, they capitalize on the chance to find the conversion, and now they should have, again, what could be a bye against them, right? Kinguin having that bomb plant in the opening round.
That is, yeah, this is becoming quite the trend. Yeah. It's a technical timeout called. This time it's called from the side of Kinguin. Admin will deal with it, but CLG. Something to consider for some reinvestment. Obviously, they still hold on to an SMG carried over. Won't go into too much further detail as to where they're going for the same reasons I mentioned before. Don't know if the headsets are still on or not on the stage. So I have to keep integrity to some extent. Pretty integral guy, honestly, Scrawny. If I were going to give myself an integrity rating, I'd give myself a 4 out of 10.
4 out of 10.
It's not bad.
I mean, it could definitely be better.
You know, don't set your standards so high. You'll be disappointed.
I think that as a Canadian, though, you get an inherent like +2 bonus. Isn't that how
yeah,
it
I've been
works?
outside of Canada for a while, and I'm often told I'm the least Canadian. So in that way, maybe I don't.
Okay.
And I stay as a 4 out of 10, but very integral in my mind.
We'll keep you at a 4. Is it a thorough 4, however?
What does that mean?
Like you're locked in. Like you're not going any lower.
Oh, no, I'm definitely going lower. I'm not going up. I'm going down.
All right. Well, you are here for an extended time, aren't you, back in Canada? Or you, at least you've been here?
Not really.
I mean, extended in terms of you know, what your life was in the last year?
I'll think about it. I spent some time home in August. But compared to last year, yeah, no, I've been home more. But that changes soon. The end of September, I head back to join the Pro League broadcast. The talent team that is. And Henry can be reunited with me.
I'm sure he's looking forward to it.
I forget who he's even casting with right now. Harry, maybe?
Machine.
Machine? No, Machine in Mykonos. In Greek. Mykonos, Greek. But at Pro League, he cast with Harry, I think.
Yeah. I think so for the first week while Harry was there.
That's right.
I think he's going back. I don't know.
I don't know. But you know what I'm going to do instead? Because the issue seems to be persistent, or rather such, I'm going to take a short break. You can join me if you'd like.
I'll be right there with you.
Okay, we'll be back.
It's like you only want me to be. It's like you only want me to be. It's like you only want me to be. What you think I should be.
Well, we'll get back underway, I guess. I've given my blessing on it.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
I'm excited to return to the action.
That makes 12 of us.
The players.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
there you go. Yeah,
Gotcha.
It was a riddle. You figured it out. You young whippersnapper, you.
I was thinking, how young do you think I am?
14.
It's the face that gives it away.
Don't be ashamed. Tarek is 14.
That's true. That is true.
So there's lots of 14-year-olds in the community of Counter-Strike.
Are there any incredibly young players? You might not know this.
Well, you mean younger than Tarek?
No, I was going to say in the EU Pro League. Because we have two 15-year-olds in NA.
Oh, yeah. No, there's not.
There's none, eh?
No.
Can't think of any.
No, there's not. There's Taz. He's 48. We got some old players.
On the other side of the
But he's
spectrum.
not in Pro League, so there you go. And back in the action. It's going to be a nade, or excuse me, a Molotov rather, thrown out toward top middle by Kusta to try and force them out behind the boxes, but a smoke deployed. It's standard formation. Guns are up. The early plant from Kinguin, therefore, with a save. Works out to amount to AK-47s across all 5 players, and a set piece toward B with Spiro to anchor mid-rotations.
Little flashbang thrown into the B apps, blinds up Mauzino. So, you know there's just someone that's close, and now he's going to try to barrel that down. Finesse just instantly removed off of the van as Ricke's the next to fall. CLG with no defense, barring Kusta, who did try to rotate over preemptively, but instead he gets stuck in market. As now the bomb's gone down, it's Kinguin in a 5v3 after plant. With CLG, well, they're thinking about it. You can see, of course, how Ethan came to join Kusta, but as he gets there, they've decided to tuck tail and call it a day. Kinguin, with the early buy, successfully put a round to the board with 5 players standing. For now, Spiro might actually duel off versus Ethan, who's all the way towards ramp. Excuse me, Cutler. Regardless, Kinguin in a fantastic spot to get this T-side rolling.
Rel took. Spiro going toward Cutler. Can't quite spot him underneath the barrel of his gun. Does react fast enough and swift enough to try and take him down. Get an exchange and wins with the spray. I won't necessarily call it control, but that'll do. 2-1 Kinguin with a bomb plant. Early buy pays off. There's still money. They're not fully broken. Sometimes a full buy early can fully break CLG, or therefore the CT side with that buy. Technical timeout is called again, so hopefully that issue not persistent as Hyper's left the game to deal with it. However, as I was mentioning, money is sufficient on the CLG side for another buy. I can say that quick enough now because I know the headsets are still on.
You know what I just realized?
Those sexy DreamHack ASTRO headsets.
That's very true. After the Virtus Pro comment, I realized there's no Polish team in Pro League.
There's not, you're correct.
Because Kinguin, while they did finish Premier League in first place this season, again, not playing for that promotion spot, so they're going to have to wait and try again next time.
Same with VP. I mean, I had this conversation with someone, I won't say who, someone very specific in the community.
Yep.
I've had it with a few people, one that kind of shared the similar views. VP, the only thing they have left going for them to really hold their tier 1 status is the fact that they made it back into the legend spot in the major, which I'm going to say as well, by the way, if you look at the Swiss system and the draw that they had, was not the hardest road. That could have been much more difficult for them if they went up against another top 10 team or an opposition of more formidable than they had in the group stages. But the fact that they kept that top 10, or excuse me, that top 8 spot, that legendary spot, means that they're going to be into the next major no matter what. So all they have to do is rest on their laurels. They're out of Pro League. They're not getting invited as frequently to other events. Obviously, Epicenter, ES4's alignment, there is something in that, and it's relatively close to home. It's in the CIS region. Yeah, okay, I know Poland's not exactly CIS, but that organization is. Yeah. So they should be invited to that event. My point is this. If they were out of Pro League, if they were not getting as many invites, and if they lost that legend status, that could be the point when we see what VP's currently made of, because they have to work for it at that point in time. And I'm not saying they haven't put more effort in lately. I know they've been practicing more. I know Taz and I have discussed it. And I'm a firm believer that those guys can bounce back, but they're going to have to dig deep. And the fact that they got back into that major gives a lot of people the excuse of, oh, well, Virtus Pro show up at the majors. Oh, they're still top one. I'm sorry. In my opinion right now, they are not a dead set tier 1 team.
Do you think they're at their all-time low?
Yeah, this is absolutely their all-time low.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be surprised. I know it's a roster that's now been together for over 4 years. I know that it's a Legends team in more than just the sense of the major, but like in terms of fanfare and people that look up to them and respect them and what they represent. They are legends of the game. It might be time for a change. It might. If I'm going to give it 3 months, and if something doesn't give by the end of the year, and if success isn't found, yes, you've got long-term contracts. Yes, you've got friendship on the line, but at some point, surely something's got to give. And it may not even give from the inside out. It might be the outside in. In other words, it will be a player on the team saying, okay, I need to go elsewhere to win, rather than Virtus Pro saying, we need to change to win. It might just be as simple as that. It might just be someone's ambition to be competitive again that gets the better of them and forces them into another team. I'm not sure, but I would expect changes in 3 months if they don't do better. That's my theory.
Yeah, I suppose someone who's hungry enough, right, might decide to call it quits. That's actually really intriguing that you bring that up. I mean, not call it quits. I mean, call it quits on the lineup.
Yeah, to leave Virtus Pro. It's the opposite of what you'd expect, right? You'd expect the roster and that team as a core to stay together and bring in someone to fix it. Similar to what Cloud9 constantly does. They're constantly bringing in players to try and better themselves. Whereas it might get to the point with Virtus Pro where they hit that sort of, I guess, stagnation with the players that they have actually just say, like, okay, if we're not going to change, you know, let's say I don't want to throw anyone under the bus. Let's say I'm a player on Virtus Pro. I was going to give an example of me being one of the players, but I'll just say I'm on Virtus Pro, and I say, look, if these guys aren't going to win, I'm going to go somewhere where I can. That might be what changes them.
Say like another phase move or something along those lines. That would be incredible. I mean,
it's tough.
In an example, it's very difficult to say, because I think it's very difficult to imagine a world where that lineup isn't together, right? Like, as you said, a roster now that's over 4 years old. A roster now with all 5 players signed to a 5-year contract of Virtus Pro. I think they're like 1 year deep on that now.
Yeah, I think it was 4-year deal. Ends in 2020, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
So I think it was 4 years. This is 2016, not a 5-year. I'll see. I'm not like the best person to ask about player contracts. I tend to actually avoid them. It's not my business.
Okay, fair.
You know, I'm not a Richard or Duncan where I'm a journalist as well, and I have to uphold the integrity of them. So I didn't pay close attention to that, but I think it was 4 year ends in 2020. Dash Ryu.
There he is. Jesus, I'm intimidated.
Don't be. Look, he's got a little smirk. He's a beautiful man.
I'm glad he has found...
That's another beautiful man, speaking of Virtus Pro and Legends and the Golden Five. That's Lord. What were we going to say? Glad you found... Wow.
I was going to say, I'm glad Ryu found a place that I think that he can actually be incredibly useful. While I'm sure he was happy to be an organization owner and have his you know, hands in that kind of aspect of esports.
He was useless. I get it.
That's not what I said at all. You're putting words in my mouth.
I would never.
I appreciate that. But no, I think Ryu's got a really good place here on this lineup, and I think that CLG is one of those teams that can need a coach, right? Remember when Imapet was included to their roster? That's really when we saw, I'd say, the rise of CLG with Rick A on the team. The most substantial improvements were made under the wing of Imapet, and then he moved over to Optic. Rightfully so. Congratulations to him. It's a big move, obviously, but
apparently highly renowned in Freiburg's eyes. That Imapet is a big part of that team.
Yeah, so this was kind of something that that we touched about during an NA Pro League broadcast, was that, like, you know, to me one of the biggest question marks when I think of that Optic lineup is actually Freiburg as an in-game leader. As far as, you know, individual level goes, that team looks great. But the real question mark was him being a leader. And I think that if you have a guy like Imapet in your ear who can feed you information and who can, you know, do that prep work and remove that extra level of in-game leadership pressure, from Freiburg, who's going to be unaccustomed to it, that all of a sudden it makes absolute sense. But it also makes sense to talk about this game because it's gone live yet again. And it's not just live, it's a buy on both sides. Kinguin having their 5 AKs, still a scout on Rikke, and a lot of pressure early on here towards middle. Mihu wanting to find some kind of a pick, seeing as the windowsill and connector are smoked out, but it's Cutler on the other side here who's just trying to catch a bit of an angle. Nobody going to present themselves as of yet, however. Kinguin slowing things down and having no players over towards that A site could allow for CLG to get aggressive if they feel as though they want to, but currently they're going to try to box them in on mid and fight this back with a 3-man stack of their own.
So slower play as expected when you get two teams with more experience than what one side of our previous equations have had. Like Molotov to window will force Rikke back off the angle. Therefore, Cutler's positioning becomes integral to holding off mid. So to Kustas, though. He's going to come from the underpass. He's rotated all the way around. It's unorthodox to rather than hold from mid from catwalk, but try and approach late. Get information, gets across, and back into the window room. FNS, meanwhile, oh, he's gifted. A backside, he fires too soon. That's a miss you can't afford, especially now that they know his position on the corner. They've taken over ladder room, and they've got position to execute on B. FNS missed a massive opportunity, and strangely enough, Kinguin's not capitalized. They're going to take the information and work with it by catching off rotations instead.
Immediately killing Kustas, great here for Kinguin. Yet again, they're hitting this B site with success. That's how they got their first round on the board, and it looks as though they've done it yet again. So nice early mid control, putting those 3 players to the top of mid, catching out those rotators as they try to hit that B site. As you said, Finesse did have a chance to maybe slow that down or put a bit of a wrench in the works, but regardless of his efforts, that's Kinguin on 2. And it's going to be CLG in a questionable spot, seeing as 4 players are on that 2K mark, and Rikke is going to want to save those extra funds. Not much to be invested into this one for the North American side. Kinguin having restabilized after losing the pistol in that one opening conversion. So $300 spent on Cutler, but that's all CLG will have to work with.
Mihu trying to get the angle, baits them out. Taps a few shots that encourages and entices CLG to peek down toward A main. Shots go back the other direction with FNS to step up, makes up for lost ground in the last round perhaps, but in the end, not enough. Kinguin find one more to work with before guns come back out for CLG. So it's been, due to the early buy on Kinguin's side, an interesting affair of money. We've had quite a few gun rounds, more than we normally have by the 6th round, that's for sure. As Rikke on the AWP as well, goes against Spiro with one of his own, so either side will have the big weapon.
The old Rikke over Kusta op. Now, that's something with CLG, right? Is you always expect to see it happen, but Finesse instead goes aggressive to the bottom of underpass and opens up to Hyper. Now, Rikke could catch players moving around in apps. He's got the line of sight to do exactly that, but he gives it up, and Rollin's going to punish him for it. So yet again, an opening on that B site, forcing CLG to try and rotate over, but Kusta, as per usual, still inside the market, and he's just going to go jumping into the bomb site. Little does he know. Rollins on the bench, he gives it up again. It's Kinguin to the man advantage.
It's Kinguin to the man advantage after CLG got the opening pick. Rikke wanted to get line of sight, as you mentioned, to support the fact that if the 2 players in underpass had problems, they would have an escape route. They could fall back without anyone pursuing down the stairwell and focus just on middle. Unfortunately, gets caught out by it. They rotate back, and Rikke clutches back. And it's a retake situation for CLG. Spotted his FNS already from CT stairs. Cutler is still caught up trying to battle with Rollin on B. He thinks he's locked in, and now it doesn't even matter what happens. He's going to try and save his M4. Rollin is still close enough by that he'll be on the heels, and this will lead to a confrontation inevitably. Although I say that, expecting that Rollin was going to be more aggressive than he is, so inevitable may not be the exact situation. Therefore, Cutler could save one gun, but Kinguin, great response. And it has to do with an aggressive setup from CLG. That makes so much sense to catch them off to take the underpass, especially where they were setting up toward the B site previously on gun rounds. But unfortunately, it's aggression that needs a backup plan. You have to get out of that situation because therefore you're beyond enemy lines.
It's a big opening here. Obviously doubling down for the second frag is Rollin. Can't help but feel like Kinguin are already starting to condition CLG to go towards that B site. We've seen fast rotates over towards market. We've seen Finesse try and go underpass in order to cut that off. And yet towards the later portion of that round, we watched Kinguin change direction and actually hit up A. So Sparrow's gonna look to hit up the B site with his AWP. Misses the chance to catch Finesse mid-air. And of course, thanks to Cutler's save, he still has that M4, but it's the only gun in the hands of CLG as the rest of the players on pistols. 3 of which, no M4 included, anchoring that A site, where Kinguin are starting to feel towards. One thing that Kinguin have successfully done over and over so far, and we are only 7 rounds deep, is go for that mid control. Very similarly to a map like Cache, mid opens up so many avenues that it just makes sense. And if CLG don't come up with an answer soon enough, then I think that could be a major issue moving forward. It's also an issue that they've lost a man on the A site, but at least Rikke with a deagle is able to tap away for 2. That's the bomb included. Watts the 3rd, but Sparrow's had enough. And that's still Kinguin with a man up.
Man up with the sight as well, but no smoke towards CT, so a chance. Cutler could have foiled the party. Doesn't do so. Kinguin go 5-2. Money's still decent on the CLG side despite situations of round deficit. It's swelling. Meanwhile, on Kinguin's front, timeout called. And it'll be tactical this time from CLG, the first of 4. Keep in mind as well, the other thing to mention with these timeouts is no longer the timeouts 30 seconds for the coach to talk. They're effectively 45 because you get the 30-second timeout plus the 15 seconds freeze time that follows after. So you don't have to be perhaps as concise with the point. You can elaborate on the intricate details. If you are a man of detail, which I know Ryu is.
Yep.
Don't you dare doubt Ryu. Anyone who doubts Ryu can meet me in the parking lot. Is there a parking lot at this hotel? It seems like just like an underground one, probably.
It's just
right?
underground, yeah.
Okay,
So
so meet me down there.
you might have to specify which level. I think there's like 5.
Level 4, spot F.
We'll see you there. We'll see CLG go towards that A site early on. 4 players, to be precise. 2 of which wanted to actually play inside of connectors, so maybe trying to get ahead of that mid play that Kinguin have employed prior to this round. And as Rollin will lurk out towards the B site, it's a 4-man hit on A. This is very similar to what we saw on the pistol from Kinguin, but it's Mihu to open up as Ethan tries to get aggressive and he costs himself his life. Cutler, through the smoke, tries to spray, and all of a sudden he's forced back. All these grenades just flying into the A site.
Rollin underneath will spot the player, Kusta, jumping inside of the window, but not be able to do anything of it. Instead, he holds middle because it's a powerful position with bomb planted as set. She can watch it through connector should the time come. And so for time being, Ricky just started off, will back down toward the underpass and wait for when he is needed. He might be, he might not be. It depends on the approach from CT stairs as FNS and Ricky want to work their way in. Spiro starts it, Rollin decides, fair enough, I might as well get in on the action while I can. Need it or not, they win the round. 6-2 Kinguin. Force, or as I think it was Semler used to say, quasi-buy, which is, yeah, that's pretty much what they're going to do. They're trying to level their money around 2K with the bonus working for them on CLG's side.
Makes sense. Try to make the most of what you can get. Cutler, as seen earlier with the single M4, is now going to have that single ump. Finesse.
My umps. Sorry, I always wanted to do that.
Now is the right time.
My lovely lady umps. Carry on.
Rikke will, over towards Catwalk, but he gets fully blinded as he tries to round that corner. Now, Finesse is still sitting underpass. And while nobody from Kinguin's going to apply pressure on the other side, he's got no reason to leave, no reason to give it up. And if he does decide to reel backwards, he's going to walk into a firing range. One thing that Kinguin have done well so far in my eyes is played very disciplined in their afterplants in the sense that they get into position and lock it down, but then the moment they get 1 or 2 kills and the fights start to occur, everybody just forces it. It's for that reason we saw them convincingly win that last one versus CLG, but they've crept their way through middle now. They've moved the bomb back towards T-spawn to join forces with Maus. Meanwhile, Kusta's still inside the ramp, immediately removed, and Maus drops the second. Hyper finds the third. It's all on Cutler and Finesse.
Working together in tandem, though. Cutler strikes when they aren't expecting it. Bomb gets dropped. 38 seconds, time to recover it, but he's got position to hold. Spiro's got an AWP instead. And apparently the AWP is a little more powerful. I didn't know that. I thought the UMP was.
You'd be mistaken. Believe it or not. When you've got patience and the op, you just wait for Cutler to do something along those. Oh my God, did you see that?
I did not.
That was a Deagle wallbang from Ricky through kitchen wall on apartments. Just randomly.
Quite sexy.
Just shooting through. Don't mind me.
Shooting hoops.
Very well done.
Smoke down. Gap above it, as intended. Rollin will think twice about going back into the kitchen.
Looks like Rollin's setting up that smoke that he used earlier to the top side of connector.
Window smoke this time, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a different angle. The other smoke's a little bit deeper back. Lex from the Bud Light All-Stars, who have their booth set up next to the stage, could tell you how to throw that one, actually. If you back off, you go to the bottom of the rug, lined up with the scaffolding from the furthest right wall. The window one, you line up with the tower and the middle line on it. See? There you go. That's inside of the window.
All sorts of smokes over here towards this A site. Obviously, Cutler was caught amongst them. Had no vision, because he was boxed in, so he falls back towards jungle side. Ethan's there to set the cross. But this is Kinguin, yet again, asserting themselves on mid. Changing up the way they do it, whether it be smokes from B site, whether it be smokes from T spawn. They get themselves into this position, and they've successfully collapsed onto sites time and time again.
Flash goes a little shy of the mark to catch off FNX, so they weren't anticipating his presence, but exactly getting it correct and taking back the position as Spiro's able to take down FNS. Kusta backs off, tries with about as much quickness as the young man has to snap back and find Rollin, who now doubles up and gets Ethan as well. Viper anchoring middle, closes out the round. This goes 8-2, inevitably. Nothing they will be able to do about it.
So, you know, CLG, as of late, is one of these teams that loves to just go for their standard setup and then try to play responsively to whatever Kinguin throw their way. And I think that right now they're struggling versus the dynamic play that Kinguin have been using in mid. It's very proactive in the sense that at no point during that round did Kinguin just stop moving. There was constantly somebody either going for a smoke that allowed for them to then take a next position, go to elbow of catwalk, flash into the ladder room so that they could then take that into their possession. I mean, moving Finesse out of there and allowing for them to entry towards that B site where finally we see Rolland push through the apps. It's just very constant. And it's really not giving any room for CLG to adapt, because by the time they try to make a change in regards to one aspect of the take, there's a second variable that'll catch them off guard. You add into that the fact that Kinguin have just been hitting headshots aplenty, all of a sudden you've got yourself an 8-2 half.
I think Hayes just finally learning how angry people get over predictions, according to his Twitter. That's, yeah, predictions are like the holy grail of Counter-Strike. Unlike, you know, something like a weather forecast or winning a lottery. If someone says it's going to happen, it has to happen in Counter-Strike, apparently, with predictions. They aren't predictions at all. In fact, they're fact. So you're a liar if you're wrong.
I'm horrible at predictions because I always get swept up in the underdog stories.
You just are going to pull a full Moses and go NA by the end of this event. I know you are. Spiro Mihu starting off well. We'll get Mal's in on the action. Getting Cutler down. It's just pistols for CLG to hold with. 9-2, the half spiraling, considering CLG won the opening two rounds, and that is all. And keep in mind, they only won the pistol due to a ballsy maneuver, I'll call it, of FNS defusing the bomb while the rest were still engaged.
This is an awesome look for Kinguin coming into their opening match, especially a match that a lot of people would have said, myself included, was going to be a 50-50. So for them to completely outclass CLG, at least so far on the T side of Mirage, fair enough. A good map for Kinguin.
Ryu seems to be looking in Kenneth's direction quite a bit during this talk.
They have quite a history, those two, don't they?
I couldn't tell you the most of it. I'm sure that Jason could. Jason's a fan of both of them.
Yeah.
But I will say that Kusta, okay, so this is exactly why he's looking at Kusta. So Ricky obviously coming over to this team, transitioned away from the AWP to the rifle. It was a talking point. Obviously, he was such a good AWP player on first Immunity and then jumping into Renegades. Kusta went from AWP to rifle, back to AWP. This time they're both going to run it, so they're going double up setup, and they're likely going to be looking for Kusta to play aggressive on catwalk without presence in the window. It's been being smoked off, so the adaptation becomes a crossfire set. AWP doesn't go for a fast peek because Cutler's smoked off too soon, but it lets Ricky focus on A. Now the rotation has to be swift, and Kusta has to hit reverse shots towards window because they're pressuring FNS early. Molotov goes down for Kusta to get better position, but he wants the site rather than catwalk itself, and it gives him a better angle of opportunity when they enter.
Kusta's able to stop the first one on the cross. That's Mihu down, but players regardless just trickle through the windowsill. Kusta dropping Hyper second. So the defense still stands and the rotate's coming over, but Rollin's gonna cut it off over on Cat. Now it's up to Cutler as he comes in from behind, but Sparrow's already wary of this.
Thankfully, it's not a double up setup on the retake, and Kusta does well to get kills on their counter entry exactly as he planned. He transitioned at about the last second he could have done so, but he's got problems because 10 HP, he still is in the site, but he needs Cutler to bail him out. He needs Cutler to distract. He can't do it. Spiro gets the shot. Kusta's in the open, drops the bomb, but only temporarily, and it won't even matter if it's picked up. Rollin gets the kill instead.
Again, another great moment here for Kinguin where they're able to get themselves towards the B site. They're able to force those rotations from CLG, and had they not been able to even take the bomb site, they had that ensured flank coming in. So Kinguin doing a good job of putting enough forces and pressure on the front side of the push that they've got everyone on CLG distracted, and now throwing flanks into the work as well. Now immediately charging back into the A bomb site. They just want to force this win down the throats of CLG. Mouse catches Cutler first, but Ethan's got a response in the form of only one. Meanwhile, Finesse has worked his way into the palace, and he's actually behind what is this T side. Kinguin on the site.
It's desperate. If he drops bomb, that's good enough because he distracts long enough to get two. He needed to get two in that position. I was going to say the pistol, if he doesn't find the right opponent first, has nothing to offer.
Now Ricky still has yet to rotate off of Cat, but they've got these T-sides pinched. Mouse and Hyper obviously with a massive advantage. They've got themselves the Kevlar and the AKs. Bomb's still down on site. Finesse gives up his position to flank all the way back round, and that's going to offer Mouse a safe plant. Finesse looking to come in from mid with Ricky by his side. So looking to really double down and maximize the trades as opposed to come separately in a way to distract. Ricky firing shots off. Finesse still's yet to be spotted, but he only has 11 bullets. Keep that in mind.
Spots both before retreating behind the box. He's getting tapped away by a Deagle, and he will go down. It's on to Hyper. Better angle for Hyper. Bomb not planted for him, so he does need to confront on cross, and Ricky can use that to his advantage, but Hyper succeeds in doing so against just the Deagle. It goes 11-2, CLG's best effort in a while, and they'll have guns again. Immediately back onto the double op. Just to point out quickly, Kinguin, everyone's very close in kill distribution. At the start of that round, they were 4 apart, top to bottom. I don't know who's where what now. Not going to look. All the point I want to make is Rollin has had some of the most impact because he's been so deep inside of the B site on so many occasions. He's dividing and conquering the defense every rotation.
Again, Kinguin playing very proactively all across the map, hitting both the central portion and those extremities. And that's just beautiful Mirage play. It's wild to think that that was CLG's most successful rounds as kills are concerned, and it comes off the back of pistols. We'll see if that double op setup can change things around. It is CLG to go aggressive through mid, 3 players committed to it, but Ricky is able to catch Hyper on his exit from Palace. There is still the player towards CT spawn. Ethan peeks in and does catch one, but it is still the single man advantage. Smoke now down, bomb as well. And Kinguin wait on site. Flank per side though. Cutler about to get caught off guard as Rollin pulls the trigger. Finesse is up next, and he's coming back from Palace.
Cutler in this game, he might have 8 kills, but he's been relatively non-existent. I mean, to be fair, a lot of them haven't had any impact, but it's caught out again inside of Connector. They're having trouble controlling mid. Finesse does have same reverse position, this time with a rifle, this time with 2 to fire at, but it only finds the first. Does control the peak. Calms his temper ever so slightly as not to get caught out by the spray, and he'll follow up to the Canadian on home turf. Finds the 3rd round for CLG. Thankfully a 3rd round, because 3 is about as low as you want to go to give yourself a chance. You lose pistol with 2 rounds, forget the game. 3 rounds, you're not exactly done. Not in a great spot if that happens.
It'll give them at least a gun round to play with. Bare bones minimum. As Kinguin have just been so dominant in this half. There's actually 0 mid control from Kinguin that round that allowed for Finesse to flank. First time they've left that open, if I'm not mistaken. Which I could be. As As opposed to going back towards that heavy middle setup, CLG decide to go towards ramp. 2 players in position. Ethan with a flashbang over. But Kinguin divert to what worked first, and that's going to be 3 mid.
Hyper starts to work. Back behind the smoke, but has established territory to his own inside of connector, which they have to give up. This becomes a problem. Ethan hasn't gone around the corner toward A main, and FNS over toward B this time. Is not inside of the palace. Smoke behind Ethan. He nervously has to wait to see if anyone pushes, but he also can't support Ricky and Cutler. And they have no information at mid, to the point where Cutler is now looking to see if they've gone through vents at CT. They have absolutely nothing to work with on the CLG side. The one saving grace is that Ethan could catch them off, and it's Spiro that's heading his direction with the bomb.
That would slow things down and force them to come play into his hand, but as they round the top of staircase, Ethan, wary of his backside, peeks into the op. Sparrow drops him, and Kinguin have an opening into the A site yet once more. Cutler finding 1 frags, then quelled by Mauzino. Mihu with the next one means it's all Kinguin all day.
Decision-making in the middle of the site makes no sense from CLG. Kusta will do what he can to close out the half, but going through a vent with low movement speed goes down. CLG has 3 in the A site. There's no one pressuring from apartments. They have no information, but they know they're at least not immediately outside of A main based on Ethan's position. As they back off connector, knowing they've lost it, rather than bring the AWP back to CT spawn and give it a shooting gallery as you'd expect toward A main and Palace, they put it in balcony, and a rifle instead goes to CT. It's completely reversal of what you'd expect from those 2 weapons in positioning. Ricky has no chance as soon as he misses 1 shot, because they flood into the site, and then Cutler gets locked off because of it. If they'd swapped those 2 positions when they started to lose ground in mid, they might have had a chance at shutting down the round.
I think mid was the root of a lot of problems here for CLG this half.
Tons of problems.
I mean, the constant window smoke here from Kinguin really, I think, mitigated any op play that CLG were looking to employ. Even when they went to go into the connector, there was a double smoke grenade that Kinguin kept constantly using, the bottom and top.
And it's fine that they went to the double op setup, but after the timeout, especially reading Ryu's body language looking at Kusta, I expected that he wanted him to be more aggressive and more assertive. They could have put the op toward Catwalk with an aggressive peek. They could have gone and flashed up 2 rifles to at least try and take over the fight at Horseshoe. They did go to underpass 1 round, but then get caught off because Roland shut down the player babysitting B, knowing that there was 2 in underpass, therefore there was no one else, and took map control away from them. So good response from Roland in that sense, but there was a lot they could have done to control middle, and none of it worked for CLG, and some of it wasn't even attempted.
See if the pistol round could be the saving grace of CLG. Would be the first step in a massive comeback. Going to be CLG to flood that A site. 2 players back by ticket for Kinguin. And Sparrow's inside the jungle. He's yet to give himself up. Flashbang to the foot. And a bullet to the head of Finesse. Sparrow looking to double in, but he is fully blind. Teammate by his side, but neither can hit a shot. Until Mihu finds at least a kill and swings this one to the favor of Kinguin. They've got the man advantage. They've got themselves the kit, but can they make the retake happen? Smoke to the bomb. Rollins going to get on this. He's starting to hold it. It's down to 3 seconds. Sparrow's just going to cover. Make that one. Make that done. Kinguin win the pistol.
They get it back with a defuse, but the fight's still going on. It's shades of the exact same thing that happened to them. Get in and get on it. Get it done. Get it to 13 rounds now for Kinguin. Keep in mind as well, just to mention, I know none of them are in this game, but with Gale Force, Luminosity and Immortals, we have 3 South American teams at this event as well. Need to go to top. Hyper gets more aggressive. Similarity we didn't pick up on as well. Gale Force wins, hitting probably the Miami region in Florida right now.
That's very true.
Probably best they're not in Florida, and hopefully everyone's safe with the hurricane. I think it's due to hit right now. I'm not sure if it has or not, but it's due to hit today, I think, in the south tip of Florida.
Ambitious boost. Give credit to that, but Rollin, well, he's having none of it. Instant headshot with the FAMAS. Controls the windowsill. Controls mid effectively. Because, of course, now you can see Sparrow just trying to give his attention towards the connector stairs. Rollin's going to actually come back for the fight, spots the bomb and drops it. So CLG, as expected, being picked apart this round. They're just hoping for that one gun, if they even get the opportunity.
Oh, waits in the window patiently. Again, continues to be a big factor for Kinguin. Finds another kill in the pistol as well to make it his third in the round. 14 and 2 to go. Guns drawn. No AWP.
Just a casual anti-eco ace. Don't worry about it.
It's true. It is the first one we've had. We haven't talked about aces. We haven't had one. We've talked about them. We haven't had them. We've had 2 4 kills. 3 4 kills. Don't ask me. I can't count. Blue's good at counting.
Very true. So the gun round that CLG had hoped for. Is it enough? Is it too late? Some would think. But at least they've got the utility to go with this rifle by. Of course, the flashbang to the bottom of underpass, just used to maybe bait somebody into the lying weight of Hyper. He is very committed to this corner, a la FNS. And as he decides to get aggressive, there's actually 2 players here. They're going to line up for him. He could just go in for the spray, but instead he walks away just to re-engage versus Cutler, who does take him down. And that's an opening for CLG as Finesse entries onto the ramp as well. That's now a great position for the North Americans to be in.
Shot from Ethan. 5 versus 2. CLG get an advantage on the T side. Bomb still hesitant to enter onto the site, but should have no issue doing so. Mihu and Shapiro have given up position. Looks like they're going to stay together. I think we'll try and save at this point in time. Bomb goes down on A. They're well removed from the action. They find Mihu through the vent as well as Ricky. Ricky's movement, by the way, is exceptional. But on this instance, if I'm not mistaken, he missed the jump out of the window, which Ricky's nailed in a pressured situation while still playing for Renegades. I think it was a 1 versus 3. I don't recall who they were playing. Cloud9, maybe? And he had a smoke that had a gap, and he made a nice play to deny the defuse. But he's also hit the bunny hop with no pre-jump on cobblestone to get to the tree.
Ah, yes, that's the famous jump.
Yep, he's had some very good movement moments. However, this time he missed. So I just had to point it out that not everyone's invincible. The only person perfect is my dog.
Who I am...
Yeah, I don't want to talk about it. Blame Mark Winther. He said no dogs in the venue. Tell me right now, if I had a dog back here, anyone in the audience, would you know? No, you wouldn't.
I remember when DreamHack Montreal was announced like a year ago. You had stated publicly that this was going to be
bringing my dog. I was going to bring her. To be fair, when I asked her, hey, do you want to go for a drive? She didn't even perk up because she was busy hunting a squirrel. So she's probably really happy at home trying to hunt the same squirrel.
I suppose she too has priorities.
She's been trying to learn how to climb trees. That's her priority. It's not worked out for her.
CLG going to try to take some mid-control. They saw Kinguin successfully do so. They'll leave 1 player per extremity on this map, but bomb still dropped over towards spawn, so no commitments can be made as Ricky does come to join them. Got a little set piece here to block off both catwalk and the windowsill. So Mihu's kind of out of the equation unless he gets aggressive. It's really going to be Sparrow that they're banking on. And Ricky, oh, he walks right into it, executed with a shot through the head and a smoke to the feet of Sparrow. He's just going to hide in the corner. He has no reason to fight as now those other smokes begin to fade. So Mihu's opportunities will be open. Cutler to the top side of the fence, though. He's firing into the kneecaps. Kinguin will retain this 5v4, but not anymore as Kusta catches him on the cross. Mihu's then dropped as he pops open the vent. Rollins op finding the next, and Hyper takes a kill. So 3v2 to the favor of Kinguin, but 30 seconds on the clock. At least Ethan gets a kill.
Gets a kill, but keep in mind, as they try and jump through the window, Hyper making it, getting out of Kusta. Bomb is still down. Ethan has to grab it, and Roland and Hyper have gained territory by getting in the window. Pull back from Ethan, knows where the other is, but Hyper wins the exchange in the one-on-one duel, and they find map point.
A firm 11-point lead here to the Polish player's favor. And it's been convincing through and through. I mean, again, you factor in the fact that the only 2 rounds converted by CLG come off of the back of what some would call a fluke defuse and a massive advantage versus pistols in the following round. An immediate reset here as well. So they buy in with what they can. That shaky economy denies them any op presence for either Rikke or Kusta. Young Ethan stuck on a Deeg.
Back Rollin, good position, traded Ricky, but they go down a man, and it's a problem until Ethan pulls it back. They're split. Bombs down on the A side, and it's all on a Ricky. Mihu has control. He has to stay alive and stay efficient. He wants better positioning toward A main to force Ricky into commitment, to force him into the site. Hyper's more worried about the fact that Ricky might be negating his possible rotation by getting toward Vent, and will go the long way instead, but Mihu has positional advantage, and they have the game. A controlled game, 16-4. A bit in the end, but dominant on the first half, undoubtedly, as they completely handled CLG with ease.
Yeah, I'm very impressed by that T-side here from Kinguin. I hope that they can actually come back tomorrow as well and prove to us that they can make these kinds of plays on other maps if their map pool has to go to any kind of a BO3. Again, that Mirage game is what I expected to be a very close match between these two lineups. Just in general, I expected a closer game, but they easily dispatch of CLG, and that's impressive.
I mean, it's they look very organized on this map, and I think that they were given. I think it was both sides of the coin were shown here. Kinguin looked very good and looked very polished. Everyone was contributing, hitting shots, definitely, but Rollin especially was getting map control. But that also comes from the fact that CLG was giving it to them. They didn't do a lot to shut down mid early on. They couldn't really do a lot to shut down mid early on, it seemed, or at least were hesitant to do so. And then every time that they tried something, Rollin seemed to get map control on B that divided the defense far too thin.
Yeah, he was so effective on those flanks time and time again. Even that one time that CLG are able to get ahead of the B push, he or his teammate is then behind them in market. So just thorough play here from Kinguin. One step ahead of CLG regardless of the situation in the round.
Well, that concurs the game, and unfortunately, I think, did Hayes vote for pick CLG? I think he's wrong again.
Yeah, he is.
He's not doing too good. I think he got, what, 0 right so far?
I believe you're right.
That's no wonder people are picking on him on Twitter.
I mean, you know, he is new to the analyst game.
Well, that's true. Speaking of new, this is our first day together. This is what you're going to look like in 3 years when you get burnt out from esports. But that said, it's back over to Stunna and the desk.
Well, I mean, I don't think it turned out that bad, honestly. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Pretty good.
That's a good-looking man.
Couldn't have turned out as bad as what just happened to CLG. That did not turn out in their favor at all. That scoreline on Mirage, I think we were all expecting a little bit closer of a game.
That was a very lackluster CT side, to say at least from CLG. Credit to Kinguin for putting up a great T side, but overall, like, no one from CLG really stepped up. No one took the like initiative to do anything. Kusta had a horrible game, you gotta say it. He's the man that needs to show up, especially in tournaments like these against teams like Kinguin, and they were just overall missing.
Well, it's difficult all around, right? So the CT side obviously lackluster, and then on T side they do win around, but just couldn't get anything going. So in a nutshell, what just happened, James?
I mean, they couldn't. Really, the game was decided on CT side, and unfortunately. Or T side, they didn't get to play much, as you said. They lost the pistol to a smoke diffuse, which was mirroring, I guess, what happened in the first pistol for CLG. But they needed double ops to get rolling. They couldn't get them rolling. I think they tried twice, and both times lost the round. And it felt like Kinguin didn't really do anything like too crazy strategically. I felt like they just did a lot of defaulting and just got their picks. I'm assuming they did their research, maybe. And they expected Mirage and knew where to get the picks, and that's basically what happened.
So we're going to load up this replay real quick, but in the meantime, Hayes, run me through just the headaches that were just never having control of even their own money. CLG just kind of giving that one over to Kinguin, and even more so, just not even holding up that much resistance as they went to enter the bomb sites.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate that Kusta had such a bad game. As Jacob said, they need him to step up big time, and he didn't. And I feel like Rikke he didn't play that well either. And having both of your oppers not play well on your CT side of Mirage is definitely a struggle. But props to Kinguin, they played fantastic.
Well, we are joined by Lord on the desk. Good job, man.
Thank you.
There, well, no, let's try. Yeah, there we go. Please don't put that on Reddit. All right.
It will be.
It will be. Whatever. Anyway, congratulations on your W there. It seemed pretty convincing. Talk to me a little bit about what you're feeling, what the team's feeling.
We had a pretty bad preparation for this event because we had some problems internal, but here we are a totally different team. We talked a lot before the tournament starts. Yeah, so it feels great to start good at the tournament.
Lord, it felt like you prepared for Mirage against CLG. Is that true?
We have been watching their demos. We were prepared a bit, but we won by shooting crucial shots, not by like anti-tactic them.
Yeah.
So we were hitting our shots, and that's why, and they were not. So that's the big difference.
It felt like y'all did a lot of defaulting on your T side and just got picks everywhere. And I didn't know if y'all had watched the demos and knew where the picks were going to happen or not, or did you just play your own game and get those picks?
Yeah, we tried to play in our own game, of course, and like I said, we were hitting our shots. Like everyone was working on T side, so yeah, we didn't like anti-tactic them a lot. So yeah, that's it.
Impressive.
Well, you guys definitely came out strong. I know you have a few young guns and a few older guns on your team. What is there to say about your team at its current state?
Well, we have 3 young players and 2 a little bit older, but it's working like it is, so nothing more to say.
Well, it is definitely working. You guys are poised to go up into the winners matches now. Who would you like to play?
We're gonna play against North.
And are you ready for that?
I think that they are, of course, the favorite to win the game, but we will do our best for sure to win some games. We have been winning some maps against them back in the days, but lastly they are pretty strong team, so it's gonna be really hard to win the game.
North definitely coming off a strong showing at Malmo. A little bit rocky here against Gale Force. Do you guys think you'll have a similar matchup, or what are you expecting against them?
I think that the first game of the tournament is always hard, so we are not looking like they are in a bad shape here because it doesn't really matter. Always the first game of the tournament is hard. So yeah, we just know that it's gonna be really hard to beat them, but we'll, like I said, try to do our best and beat them and make our place in the semis.
That's what you got to do. Fight for survival. Well, congrats, man.
Thank you.
We got it right that time, huh? All right. Well, we'll see you in just a second. We're going to load up the statistics real quick. And if Hayes, if you want to take a second here and kind of just run through, I mean, where are some of these guys on CLG?
I mean, like we said earlier, Kusta, I mean, 35 DAR. That's just, that's rough, man. Everyone has those games, but when you play such an important role on the team and to have a game like that, you can see the scoreline kind of reflects what went down, unfortunately. But, I mean, Sparrow had a heater of a game.
A heater.
He was on a heater.
Something about the AWP, something about hitting your shots. I mean, I'm pretty sure Lord summed that up for sure. I mean, what do you think, Pim?
Yeah, I mean, he did his shot, basically, you know, and that's what it comes down to. And as said, like, before Kusta, I felt like he tried to do some stuff. Like, he went to BFs and tried to get some picking. He went all over the map, but he was getting closed down pretty much all the time by Kinguin. The default just prevailed to be too much for Kusta in this particular sense.
Well, before we go to a quick break, I want to inform the audience at home that you should go over to Sliver and check it out. Make sure you get in there, get signed up, and start receiving coins per match basis here. If you check the link at the bottom of the screen, you can head over there and do that right away. We're going to be going into the final group stage match here, and before we even get to the winners bracket games. But before we do that, make sure to head over to Sliver.